Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So awesome to see you all come through. Just letting some people in from the waiting room, so give me a moment. Amazing. So cool to see some of you back. Hi, everyone. I'm going to get straight into it because time is of the essence tonight, and I know your time is precious. So, if you don't know, you will know. I am Ellie. I am super, super excited to have you join me for another masterclass. I am pumped to spend an hour with you, and we're going to unpack some things that I have unlocked in my business over the last 6 months, especially, and that I think make winning projects and getting more clients through pitching just way, way easier. So, I want to share everything with you. While I get my screen sharing sorted, I loved to invite you guys to Kia ora, Kate. Pop some things in the chat. If you want to pop where you're calling from, I'd love to hear where you're from and also what you do. Pop your handle if you want. We're all here to support each other at the end of the day. So there's no pressure to be on camera, but if you do want to, it does make me feel like I'm not screaming into the void. So appreciate you guys who have your camera on. Just share my screen. Awesome. I think that's come through. Thumbs up. We're sweet. Yeah. Perfect. Cool. So, welcome officially to Pitch Like a Creative. It's a 5-step method that I have created. I have gone over pitching before, but what I am seeing happen a lot for people is that sometimes we're pitching without having the right business methods and processes in place. And what that's resulting in is a lot of ghosting of emails, a lot of no thanks, we don't want you, we don't want to see your projects. And potentially that's burning a lot of leads as well that could otherwise in the future have amounted to something if we had just been in the right place and had the right things in place for that as well. So, I want to practically help you tonight so you can simply tweak some of the ways that you already run your business so that you have more projects coming in, your sales are going to increase, and overall, so the selling and the pitching, it just feels a lot easier than it has done in the past. So, we want to ultimately get you booking clients consistently so that you can get in a position where you're running your full-time art business, your full-time creative business without all the stress. These are all the things that I do every week in my business to move the needle for my sales and for my commissions, for my murals, and to grow my business. And I know a lot of you are side hustling on the side of your day jobs. And I was absolutely right there with you not too long ago. But these methods have honestly changed the game for me and have gotten me to a point where I am earning triple what I would be earning if I was in that same corporate job. So that's definitely not to flex at you. It's probably more acknowledging as well how little junior architects are actually paid. But it's simply that I just want you to know that being a full-time artist who books and earns consistent profits is actually really, really possible. And a lot of the time, it's just us that is holding ourselves back. So in the end, it's not all about the money. I know that a lot of the time it is to make it a fulfilling and long-term job for us. But I also want to express that, I have now got some flexibility to work the hours I want and for whatever best fits in with my family life. And actually, one of the biggest things for me was actually knowing I could progress my career myself without it being dependent on anyone else. So it's been completely up to me, and I really believe that pitching helps us get there. So that's why we are here tonight. I'm not saying all of that to make you jealous. I'm saying it because I actually didn't think it was possible for myself, and I really want to share it with you so that you guys can make it possible as well. Awesome. So, the context of our conversation tonight is all about how we get out of the place where we feel really stuck or frustrated, or like nothing that we're trying is working in our creative business. Everything I'm sharing tonight is things I've tested myself and that have worked in gaining me that consistency with clients and growing the business. I really want you to feel that these are baby steps, they're really doable, and I want it to demystify a lot of the behind the scenes of how artists are actually making a good living out of what they do. So I'll be breaking things down into a actionable step process so that we can set up ourselves for success. I don't believe that being a successful artist is passive, but I also don't believe that we have to be stumbling through it all on our own. There is so many mistakes and time wasted that I really want to help you skip over. I also love sharing on the things that have worked for me and that you can then put them in place today as well. And what's going to happen is all of those things are going to snowball and compound over time so that you're getting yourself known by all of the right people. So I mentioned before, if you've come to any of my past masterclasses, there is a few refreshers you'll notice in this masterclass, but there's actually quite a lot of new content as well that I've been implementing and testing since we last met. It's just because the marketing and art landscape changes quite fast. So there's some things that I've added in tonight that I think are really valuable. There's also no silly questions, so if you have some, please hold on to them. I would love to answer them at the end of the call. We'll have plenty of time then as well. So tonight we are learning the Pitch Like a Creative 5-step method created by me, and this is exactly what we're going to be learning. So if I look to the left, it's just where my other screen is, by the way. Firstly, we're going to learn how to have the perfect outreach strategy and finding the right contact so that you're not wasting your time on cold pitches that don't land in any inbox. Secondly, we're going to be looking at how to be seen in a sea of other creatives trying to get hired. Thirdly, how personal branding can help you stand out and get more yeses. I'm going to talk through how to price yourself correctly for growth and what it looks like to feel really confident in your pricing. And the final 5th step is how to make pitching easier and more directed at the clients we want so we have a better success rate as well. I'm also going to take you through my full pitch deck, not the one I showed in the last masterclass. It's going to be a bit more of a direct one. And by the end of this hour, you'll have hopefully a super clear idea of how yours can be laid out and how it can shape around your business. So I really hope that you walk away from this chat with practical key things you can immediately implement and start steering yourself into earning more money as an artist and ultimately help you get to a point where hopefully you can quit your 9-to-5 job if that's what you want, as I know it's the ultimate goal for a lot of us. All the techniques, as I've said, have helped my business and they're all tested by me as well. So I am now at a point where I do less pitching because of that word of mouth. It becomes really strong, a huge superpower, and that's ultimately where we all want to get to. So I know it sounds like a lot. We've only got an hour, but we're going to get through it, and I don't want to leave you with any missing links. So we're going to leave feeling inspired and equipped. And there is, of course, the Q&A that I mentioned at the end, which we can talk about anything business related. Doesn't have to be in terms of pitching as well. I'll briefly as well go through just what's in the course that I've created for creatives and business owners. If you're interested, that intake's happening really soon as well. Cool. Okay, so practically, I want you to leave inspired to take action. I want you to be ready to ask for work in a way that lands and gets you a yes. I want you to know exactly what areas to tweak and work on in your business so that your pitches have the best chance, and have a list of ideal primed people ready for you to target over the coming months. The method is one that I have tested and I believe will result in giving you a real confidence, and it's going to give you direction so that you know exactly what to focus on and you're not wasting any of your time on people who are likely to not reply to you. It's going to bring you projects that have bigger budgets and more creative briefs, which is just really, really exciting place to be as an artist, and it's going to position you as an expert and professional in your field as well. So part of the reason I'm here is because for 7 years of my business, I searched for all the free resources. I really wanted to grow my business. Some things existed, but not with enough grunt that I needed. And I know that there's just a sea of information out there. I do feel like as creatives, we're all really, really unique, which is amazing. But I think that it does leave a lot of ambiguity out there for how to use those resources and how to tackle our craft as a business. It's where I think having someone that's been there, done that to shed light on what it's like can be really helpful. It's why I'm so passionate about it and why I overshare a lot, if you know me. So I'm going to go through briefly just a bit of context about me so you're not talking to a complete stranger. Just spill a bit of my backstory in case you haven't heard it. I studied and I worked in architecture for about 10 years. And then 7 years into that, I started doing my art on the side. I was gradually doing it for friends and family at the start, and I tried entering my work into exhibitions, most of which actually did not go well in terms of sales. Pretty much didn't sell anything, and I was horrendously undercharging myself. And at this point, I definitely thought it would only be a side gig for me. I didn't think it was a viable career option, and I was really worried actually about what people would think if I quit my stable job, especially because I'd worked so hard and studied so hard for it, and there was that stigma around being an artist. But for the first 3 years, I did commissions. They were kind of my bread and butter to start with. I spent pretty much zero time on the business side of things, which also meant that I had no pitches, no time to pitch, and no new clients coming in. But things did start to shift a little bit after I entered a paid competition. I put myself out there with some pitching that after that, I started to wonder if it could be more than just a side hustle. I was still undercharging for quite some time and didn't have a good handle on what type of clients I wanted to work with. I also just really felt like I was trying to guess my way through a lot of getting commissions, getting sales, and launching new products. It did take a little turn and came to a head when COVID hit. I posted my work and advertised it on our local Facebook page, and I woke up the next morning with a lot of likes, like tons of inquiries, and it actually meant I was booked up for the following 18 months, which was kind of wild. It meant that from there I was able to decrease my hours at my corporate job so I could try and fulfill those orders that I had coming in. And I do want to really acknowledge how annoying and frustrating it is to have someone say that they've gone viral and that that's one of the reasons why they blow up. But I want to mention that because this was just a drop in the ocean of opportunities I had asked for. And one of the big reasons why I'm teaching on the topic tonight, because we just need to be asking and putting ourselves out there, and that drop in the ocean might be that next pitch that you send. So since then, I have invested in my own studio space. I've had commissions sell out and worked with some really cool brands like Trade Me and QT Hotels. And again, it's why I wanted to be here tonight and share on everything that we're going to go through. Awesome. So enough about me. These are some of the things that I felt, and I think that you guys might be feeling as well. Throughout my journey as being an artist and growing as an artist, I felt huge moments of doubt. I was really worried about judgment. I struggled to know if I was priced correctly. And I was guessing a lot on what I was doing on social media. I was spending my money on all the wrong things as well. And I actually thought there was nothing worse than being a salesperson. So there was a lot going on there for me. There was also a lot of rejection involved. We're constantly putting ourselves out there as artists. And yes, we need to do this for amazing opportunities. But there's also a lot of chance for a no, which is one of the reasons why I think it stops a lot of us from pitching ourselves. So I'm not saying all of these things, all of these feelings to bring the conversation down, but hopefully it makes you feel a little bit less alone. If you're sitting in that space, I can completely relate and also say that 10 years on, there is many lights in the tunnel. We just need to keep persevering and learning, chasing knowledge together. So before I jump in, I've got to be honest, being a full-time artist and specifically everything we're talking tonight is it's not passive. It means treating your art like a business and consistently showing up and putting yourself out there. In my opinion, there's not really easy hacks out there to have longevity in your business. It takes a lot of hard work, but there are simpler ways to do things and more fun and creative ways to strategize and market yourself so that we can make sure that the hard work is actually paying off for you and turning into income as well. So I'm asking you to trust me when I say this pitch like a creative works and it's used consistently for me. It starts a bit of an ecosystem of your business that's going to bring word of mouth to your brand and really give you confidence in that next paycheck, even with all of the stigmas around being an artist. Cool. So the juicy stuff. At the end of the session, I just thought I'd pop this in here because I just wanted to say that in the end, there will be a little link. You can download all the slides, access all the resources that I talk about. So don't stress too much. If you want to screenshot stuff, you can, but they'll be there at the end. So feel free to sit back and take it all in, be inspired. I just really want you to leave feeling like having a creative career is possible. So, for the 5 fundamentals I'll be going through, I want us to look at them as either inward or outward focused parts of our business. In my opinion, we need to have equal parts inward to outward, and I'll explain a little bit of what I mean by this and why it's really important. When we have tasks that are inward focused, they are business focused. So, this is the work that happens in the background. Some people call it when they're working on the business, not in the business. So this is looking inside and analyzing and improving how the business functions so that we grow and our sales keep climbing. Tasks that are outward focused are more client focused, and these things that are pivotal or in the final stages of converting that client to a yes. And it can be really helpful, as I've got on the slide there, just to visualize it a little bit and categorize the tasks that you have into either inward or outward so that we can visually see how much time we're spending on things and maybe where we need to switch things up a little bit as well. So the first part of that 5-part method to pitching like a creative is outreach and connection. Cold pitching I talk on a lot. It is really great, and I definitely still do a lot of that myself. But having a direct contact really increases the chance of getting a yes from that client by 1,000-fold. So to get these direct contacts, we often need to be playing the long game. Sometimes you may have to contact sometimes you may have that contact in your pocket already, but more times than not, we are trying to get the contact with a client that we've never met before. We don't know how to get in contact with them, or it could be a random gallery that you don't even know who runs it. So here are some practical and creative ways that I have done before that I believe you can do to reach out and get direct contacts for future work. So the first one that I do a lot of is in-person networking, making sure I'm every week connecting in with business owners. They don't have to be creatives or artists, but business owners, networking, getting my word of mouth around there, going to conferences and having learning opportunities that mean every year potentially you're not only learning, but you're also again connecting in with people and making future clients there. You could attend webinars and connect on LinkedIn afterwards. I do this a lot where if I've gone to an event, afterwards connecting with them on LinkedIn sounds very boring, but I can tell you now there is a lot of commercial clients there just waiting for us. DMs, comments on Instagram, you guys know all of this. Going to gallery openings and exhibitions, both can be really, really fun and a great night out, but also can be an amazing way to connect in with people and again, play this long game. And the last one I put there was actually, sorry, it's not on the slide, but the last one that I'm going to talk about is posting about local events. So I just went to a huge rugby event in the weekend and making sure you're actually posting and tagging these event organizers. If it's something you're really interested in, you never know who's going to be seeing your work, who's going to be clicking on your profile, basically just because someone's reshared something you've posted. So don't underestimate some of those subtle things. If you're serious about making this your career, as I said, we have to be playing that long game. Chasing the virality or the quick wins is not sustainable for what we do. So my suggestion, so you don't feel overwhelmed with the thinking of like, where the heck do I start with making this long game thing happen, would be to plan out your weeks kind of like what I've got on the slides here. So they don't have to be exactly that. But I would be planning out my weeks based on how and when you are connecting in with people you don't know, so that from 6 months on from now, you've built up a really good base of contacts and you can pitch directly to them when you're ready. If you're a bit more relaxed than I am and not so type A, feel free to not write it out like this, but just make those mental notes of if you're connecting in with people, if you're going to events, if you're going to conferences, and making sure that, each month you've kind of got a few things dotted in. I popped that example on the slides of how I try and keep this going, so that just from like a year away from now, I'm really stoked that a year ago me was connecting with that person. So it just looks like having those basic tasks to see how we're tracking. I also just had a artist recently reach out and they asked me, well, what do I do when I don't know who I want to pitch to? Like I've got an industry or a gallery or a shop that I want to pitch to, but I don't have that direct person to contact. This is a tiny play-by-play of how I would directly contact that person, depending on the business. I would be following all of their social accounts, whether that's Instagram and TikTok, but also LinkedIn, and looking at them online. I would be looking at creatives that have potentially worked with them and follow them as well. Once you connect in with those creatives and you're engaging with them genuinely, commenting on their things, making sure that you're paying attention, there is position there later on where you can message them and say, hey, I saw you worked with that person. Would love to know if you could give me a name or even an email. You can be as ballsy as you want. And people are really, especially in the creative community, happy to help, happy to connect in with people because we all know how hard it can be. So the alternate option to getting a bit sneaky and messaging these people on the sly is actually creating something I call a passion project that's on brand or on theme with that particular industry or that particular business. So for me, if it was something to do with sport, I could draw the sports stadium and decide to tag the sports stadium or something like that. It can be a way more exciting and interesting if you like, but that's just a little kind of brief example there that can also help with getting you across the line. If you're hoping to get into retail, the last thing there I'll suggest is just going in store. I know that seems really intimidating and scary, but I would just have a little tiny booklet or pamphlet of what you offer, and literally just go and introduce yourself. If it's a small boutique, more often than not, the owners are in the store anyway, and it can go a really long way in just being kind and introducing yourself. So the second part in the 5-part method that we need to be having for our pitching to land successfully is we need to be seen. We all know the pressures of marketing, especially on social media. There is a lot of options to choose from, and it can feel really overwhelming on how to tackle this whole part of your business. So this is what I'm going to talk through this, so hopefully help simplify a little bit for you. I want to note that for our creative services and products, we do want to be seen as many places as possible. But it's acknowledging that realistically our time is limited. So here's how to focus it better so that we aren't feeling like we are wasting all of our time. Here's how I practically want you to plan out your marketing. So I want you to split your business into the services you offer. I'm going to use myself as a bit of an example here. My business is basically split into commissions, commercial work, teaching, and prints. And on the left, you'll see in that pie chart there, the split in the early days used to look like my content was about 80% commission content, 10% commercial content, so posting about murals and things like that, and 10% promoting my prints. But in the last 2 years, I have said to myself, I wanted to shift to having 50% commercial business, 30% commissions with 20% of teaching, and then prints kind of like dotted throughout it. And I had a brainwave about 8 months ago, and I was like, why do I keep showcasing my commission work when I really want more of the commercial work? So it sounds really simple, but it's when I decided to make the switch. So, yes, I was creating some really cool custom work that I was really desperate to share, but I knew that if I kept going in that same way and marketing them, it would be all that I would get in the future as well. So I put a huge heap of my time into repurposing old videos, making new mock-ups, doing fun designs to promote the service that I ultimately wanted to have in the next 6 months to a year's time. What you put out there, people will perceive as the service that you do. So be really selective and focused on what you are putting out there. And I can tell you now that there will be a shift. It won't be immediately, but I have noticed in the last 6 months that I am getting more interest in my commercial work than my custom work. And it's exactly what I wanted. So, the little harsh word I'll say here is because we're artists, we create beautiful things. Just because we created something new and beautiful doesn't mean you need to showcase it, especially if it's something you don't want to be doing that much anymore. I know it can feel like I've just completed this thing, I need to show the world, but keep in mind, just try to stay focused on where you want to be. It doesn't mean you can never share it, but just be mindful of that because it does pay dividends later on. So my challenge to you, look at your targets and what you want to work on in the next year. I would focus on 3 to 4 kind of max, either services or industries or products, however you want to look at it. And don't be afraid to post the same thing 3 times over to promote the types of projects you want in the future. I want you to remember this one thing that changed the game for me when I was thinking about it is the algorithm, specifically talking about Instagram and TikTok and those social media platforms, the algorithm is on the consumer's side. It's not on the creator's side. So don't worry about repeating yourself or posting similar stuff. The people who love you and the people who love your work and are ready and primed to buy from you will see it and they'll be happy about it. And the people that don't want to buy from you or don't want to see your work, they won't because the algorithm wants to show them more of what they like. So it's a really hard thing for our brain to switch, but it helps us post more about what we ultimately want. This might look a little bit weird and intimidating, this kind of graph thing, but I've popped a little example here of what type of marketing I've experienced works best for different creative services. So what it does is I'm hoping it can help you focus a little further and narrow your pie chart down into certain services so you don't feel like that you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. So it talks through, I've just put basic examples of murals, commissions, speaking, workshops, and licensing, and just breaking that down on the split of how I would market those across different platforms and what I feel is the biggest benefit. So, for example, if you were wanting to have a speaking gig, I would be hard promoting that on LinkedIn, but I would not be promoting it as much on Pinterest or even email marketing. It's you'd potentially be doing more in-person networking. So you guys can work that out. But when you save out these slides at the end, this can be a really interesting one to look at and help you narrow down exactly how to focus your marketing. Cool. So branding and personal branding is the third part to the 5-part method that I believe we need for our pitching to be really successful. Branding's not just our colors and logos and our outward appearance. It's about our mission, our target clients, and our messaging and what we become really recognizable for. If you feel like you don't have much of a brand or a personal brand, I like to ask myself, if my business was a person and I met them at a party, what would they look like? How would they talk? And what would they be most passionate about? And if that overall vision of your business isn't apparent in your content, try to pull some levers, add some flavors, just so that your creative business can become more relatable, even more human and aligned with your mission and values. You don't have to showcase your whole personal life if you don't want to. In fact, I am very much in the place where I'm not a creator that shares much about their personal life. I love sharing a little bit about some of the hobbies that I do, like sport and running and red wine, which they don't really go together, but go with me. And I do that because I know that if they overlapped with a client, that I would be really stoked. And a really cool story for that is in the last 2 weeks, I have locked in a client that I'll be doing a mural of the New Zealand wine region. Who would have thought? And I also just did an artwork for the big sports stadium simply because I have been trying to align those value sets with my work and what I'm putting out there. So let me just say, strategically linking your values and your loves can be really great for future projects too. It opens up some amazing doors. The fourth part to our 5-part method that we need for our pitching to be successful is pricing. It's a huge topic, and there are so many directions that we can take this. If you've been around for a long time, around me anyway, you know that I love sharing actual numbers of jobs and of how and where I think we should be pricing ourselves based on our experience. So I'm always open for a chat after this or in my DMs, anything around pricing. But for today, the high level chat that I want to have around this was the fact that we need to ask ourselves the hard question of, do your products or service you offer reflect the price you advertise at? If we have this wrong, it is potentially hindering people from hiring us or saying yes to our pitches. So if you feel that your products or services are too cheap, we need to ask ourselves where we want to be. And I usually work in kind of a 1 to 2 year stint. So asking yourselves where you want to be in 2 years and work backwards. For example, here's kind of how it happened for me. I'm going to use my commissions as a quick example as well. I had my A3 artwork that I advertised for $300 back in the day when I first started. And for context, this would take me at least 20 hours to complete. So I was working for a good $10 to $15 an hour. I ideally wanted to be eventually working for $100 an hour. So I needed to map out how I was going to get there. And I gave myself plenty of time to get there. I chose not to raise my prices drastically straight away. I knew the work was good, but the experience of how I delivered that work and the packaging and the service, it needed some tweaking. So here were the things that I changed to eventually get me to that point. Every term, I decided I would raise my prices by $8 to $10 an hour. So it was really gradual. I upgraded my packaging to be more luxurious. I offered free shipping for custom work. I had really nice, in my opinion, nice, beautiful documents made so that people felt onboarded really professionally, really orderly. And as I raised those prices, I made sure that the experience was essentially reflecting the perceived value that they were going to get. So what that meant was, in the end, I wasn't getting questioned for my prices when that same A3 piece reached over $2,000 worth a few years later. So it was probably about 2 to 3 years later. But by that point, people stopped questioning it because the value of the package reflected that number as well. The other part that's sometimes a hard pill for us to swallow is that we simply need to stop undercharging and complaining that no one will pay, but instead finding the right people to sell to and the people that see and understand the value you're giving. Now, I know that's a really simplified view of it, and it's never that simple, but I do believe that we have our people out there. We just need to find where they are. And that's often also helped by how we package up our whole experience of our craft. So of course, the fifth and last part to the 5-part method is actually pitching and making sure that we have a really clear process for this to make it super easy to tick off amongst all of the work that you're going to be working on anyway. So the pitch I want to go through today is less of a cold pitch. It's less of a like, hi, this is who I am and what I do. And it's more of a, hey, I can do this really specific thing for you really, really well. Hire me kind of pitch. So for our pitches, we want to target the right clients. We then want to, I'm going to call it flirt to convert. We want to flirt with them a little bit to convert them to actual clients. And we also want that direct contact with the correct person to make sure they're landing. We can't leave our businesses up to chance encounters or even the hopeful amount that we might be seen on our social media. I've mentioned this before, but it's crazy that only 2 to 4% of your audience actually sees your work on social media and about 50% through your email marketing. So it's not saying that we shouldn't do those things because I'll be really honest, so much of my work has come through social media. It's a really powerful free marketing tool. But I wanted to highlight those stats because if we just sat and hoped that those things would work for us, our businesses would become really stagnant and we would have a real lack of control over who's working with us. So obviously you all know what I'm about to say and that it's pretty much why I believe so much in having a strong pitch up your sleeve, just so you can pull it out of your back pocket when you meet a prospective client, when you're out networking, when you're out at a gallery event, and also that you can use on a more consistent basis to reach out week to week as well. So to start with, this right fit formula I talked about in the last masterclass, and I wanted to refresh it for you guys because it's a really simple, easy way to have a checklist of who to target. I'll give you some realistic figures from my own books. I only book about 5 to 8% of the jobs that I pitch to. So that's why a list like this is really amazing. We can set it out, tick them off, and it's basically a numbers game. So based on that 5 to 8% that I lock in after all the pitches, if you're only sending about once a month, if you were based on those stats, you'd be getting little to not much work each month. So it's both a strategy, it's a numbers game, and we have to play a little bit of both. So this is how we narrow down the who part to the people that are more likely to book with us. And at the end of the masterclass, there'll be a link there for you for the Notion template that you can just take away and use for free whenever you want. I'm going to briefly use my own example again. My business is an example, and here's how I would populate it. So the first column there, I want to populate it with a location. So I want you to start small, local, because again, it's more likely that you'll book these jobs that are local. And once you have them under your belt, we can go bigger. Absolutely. You can go big straight away if you want to. But once we start building, you're going to feel more confident in your portfolio. So for me, it looks like New Zealand or Christchurch, which is the city I live in. And I could even potentially put an area of the city if I wanted to get really specific. In that next column, put a list of your interests and values. Again, as I said before, keep in mind they don't have to be something to do with your art style. They could be any of your hobbies. Write your skills, things like how you would apply to apply your art to each project. So that's like painting, murals, corporate gifting, live drawing, marketing, stationery, all that kind of thing. And the last column there is all about past themes. So a really good way to look at it is the things that your past clients have had in common are likely to be a through line for you. So for me, the big ones that stand out are businesses that have turned either 5, 10, 20-year kind of big birthdays. Other ones are companies that have done collaborations with other artists or packaging to introduce a new product, or hospitality and travel sometimes. So yours could be something that is like you've worked with children or you've worked with mums, or you've worked with charities, or you've worked with schools, retail, or art exhibitions, if that's your thing. Your past clients have come to you for a reason. So there's going to be a line through there that is really common, and it shows you that you're already a good fit for that type of event or product or industry. So my advice is just to use that to your advantage. When you're selecting who you're going to pitch to, I want you to make sure that they fit into multiple of those categories. It's going to help you laser focus on the people who are more aligned to you as a business, and they're more likely to say yes. So now the last step for this is once you have all of those columns populated, it doesn't take long, honestly, to fill it out. I would use AI, the strength of AI, to help us to find people who fit in multiple of these categories. So For example, I would ask AI to give me 10 companies in New Zealand who are involved in travel that are turning major business birthdays, like 5, 10, or 20 years. Or give me a list of Christchurch companies that have an annual conference or an event coming up. So it makes it just really simple. And what AI is going to do is obviously spit out a bunch of companies that you can then write down and just every week tick a few off, and make sure that you're kind of working through those at a steady pace. The last column is a really easy one. If there's businesses that already follow you, just kind of tinkle through and see if they've been sitting there for a while. I would DM them, I would connect with them. They obviously like your work, and it's a huge compliment. So it's an easy option to put them on your list as well and just message them directly. Cool. So you can, this is the Notion template that I'll be popping in the chat at the end of the session. So you can use chat for this, or you can just sit and think of clients who might fit with multiple of these options. Again, if you're not a list person, that's completely fine. But get specific and populate this when you can, because future you, again, will feel like you've helped them out. You can go straight to this list and see who's next up, and you can just kind of skip all the steps of thinking, really. So we want our pitches, excuse me, to be effective. We want them to be unique, but they also just really don't want them to take us a whole lot of time, so that we don't do them and we put them in the too hard basket. We want our pitches to reflect our creativity and our brand. And what I mean by it is that it has to go hand in hand with our website and our colors and our logos and all of those kind of things. So today I'll be looking at a base layout, and it's how you might arrange what I'm going to be calling your pitch deck. But keep in mind when you actually go to design it, that it must follow obviously your fonts, your colors, and how your business rolls as well. Another quality of a strong pitch is one that is direct and to the point. The reality is our future clients don't have heaps of time to scroll through thousands of photos of what you've previously worked on. They just want to know who you are and how you're going to solve their problems in the best kind of way, in our beautiful, creative way, and also proof that you're going to do a really good and professional job. So when creating our pitches, we want to keep them short, we want to keep them concise and straight to the point. Keep in mind, obviously, this doesn't mean that it has to be unfriendly or boring. For us artists, obviously, great pitches reflect our creativity and our wow factor. So definitely don't hold back on them. Bragging is essentially what we want here. Show them your best work, tell them the big dog client you just worked with, and talk about how many hours you painted for, or any kind of stat to add a little bit of proof to your pitch. Pitching and cold calling can sometimes get a bit of a bad rap, which I do understand because it can be a bit awkward. And I talked about this in my last masterclass as well, and I'm going to just briefly mention it again because it's so, so key. I am living proof of the saying that if you don't ask, it'll always be a no. I held back for so long because I was afraid of what people would think. But once I got a bit over myself, I found that if I was prepared with that pitch, then I was actually going to be fine. And selling myself and the work that I truly believed could change someone's life became a whole lot easier, and I started making more sales. So stage one of this is all about the flirt to convert. So while I'm teaching you to be direct and go after the clients you want and to pitch to your heart's desire, I also want you to think about the long game again. I'm talking about some of those top tier companies or the big brands that may feel a little bit out of reach at the moment. I essentially want you to flirt with them. So I've explained this before, I'll briefly mention it again. But it's a little bit of a good analogy because we can all kind of imagine what it's like. If you see a hot person at a bar and you walk straight up to them and you start trying to chat them up, they're way less likely to date you. They're way less likely to say yes, especially opposed to the person who is across the room, who winks at them a little bit, they send them a free drink, they smile at them, and then they eventually decide to approach them. Flirting with those larger clients, or even some of the smaller ones as well. Looks like following everything they're doing. It looks like commenting on their posts, engaging with them genuinely in their DMs, so that way in the future they're way more primed to any kind of email or message that you send them. They're also going to be so much more aware of who you are and know that you have genuinely been interested in them for a long time without wanting anything in return. So when choosing the people you'll be pitching, consider having some in that kind of big goal list and spending a couple of months consistently flirting with them. Not stalker vibes, but interest and genuine connection, curiosity, compliments, all of that kind of thing. And then by the time 6 months has passed or a year even, they're more likely to consider you as a yes. So it can be really worth that payoff. So the second part to this, thanks Meg, love the analogy, that's great. The second part to this is the DM slide. And this is something I've been testing quite a lot in the last 6 months. It's been working really, really well. So if you know a brand or business is really active on their socials, or it's potentially a smaller business where the owner might be a bit more hands-on and probably running that social media themselves, I would consider sending them a casual, no strings attached kind of DM. So my DMs, when I'm sending them to a business, they'll look a little bit like, as an example, to be like, hey, Christchurch Airport team, I just wanted to jump in and say that I love what you do in X, Y, and Z. I was hoping to be put in touch with the right channels to chat about the possibility of collaborating together through a mural or marketing campaign in some way. I'd then maybe talk about myself a little bit and say, I grew up in Canterbury. My usual clients are huge travelers, so I thought we'd be a perfect fit. No expectations, but if anything was to align in the future, I'd love to connect and just sign off. So really kind of straight to the point, but also kind of a no pressure situation. Now we need to be selective and strategic on who we send these to. It shouldn't be used as just a lazy option. It's a step in the right direction to hopefully help you get that email address or that extra contact that might lead to a more professional pitch or even a meeting for a project later on. So for context, I've gotten replies from 90% of the companies and brands that I DM, which is a much larger response rate than I would usually get when I send emails to companies and cold call them and like that way. I also actually had someone reply this week and book a meeting straight from a DM. So there's an example of if you just don't ask, you definitely get a no. I will caveat it by saying if you are using this as part of your strategy, you also need to make sure your Instagram is strong. If that's the platform you're using, in this case, it's what I'm talking about. It's why posting regularly is really important. Posting quality is key, and it often backs your DMs up and opens some doors for when we send that message because they click through to your profile and see exactly what it would be like to work with you. So we really need that as that last kind of final step. So before approaching that step, just have a think about if you're happy with how your socials are represented. And if you're not, I would spend a couple of weeks posting consistently about the kinds of things you want to work on and then do the DM so that they have that reference. Excuse me, just mouth dry. Okay, so the final part to that is the pitch and email. And it's more of a professional approach. It's one that either you can use straight after you get that email address when you've DM'd them, or you can feel free to use it on your own if you like. But as we've said, having that direct contact is really important. The one I'm going to walk you through today is a direct mural pitch deck. It's one that is targeted for an introduction of what I do and what I offer for a particular service. So this is an example of what I would send someone if I was wanting to pitch a mural directly. I'm going to really briefly go through each page. I'm not going to be over explaining, but just to give you a bigger view of what it looks like. Cool. So all of these pages What we're doing is in that first page, obviously it's got that hero image. We're making sure that first page is hitting them bam smack in the face with the most amazing thing that you can do for them. We're being really clear about what we're offering. So for me, murals, I'm not going to put there something like black and white line artist or something. That's going to confuse them. They won't know what they're buying and immediately probably would actually click off because they're like, that's too airy fairy. So be really direct. If you're a watercolor artist, say you are. If you're a brand designer, say you are. All of those kind of things. I also like to pop on the second page some stats, kind of like what we mentioned earlier on. So the stats I've got there are actually about like hours I've worked and the amount of commissions I've worked. It's not necessarily dollar figures. If you feel early on in your business, I would come up with some funky stats. Have you gone through, like Sean, you've probably gone through 50 pens, I don't know, 150 pens, I don't know. Something kind of fun, but also adds to the magnitude of the amount of work you're producing. 1,000 liters of paint. Who knows? You might paint houses. I don't know. But having stats there can be a really beautiful visual. And also, if you have worked with any businesses that you're really proud of, popping those logos on can be really helpful as well. I pop a few things of why they want to work with me. Again, kind of just really getting to the solution of the problem. So, really trying to take down that barrier of why they might say no. So I popped Wellington NZ and Pegasus NZ in there. Those are two companies I've worked with. I would usually have 4 pages that might have those kind of examples. And what it's doing is it's giving them a cost breakdown. So it's putting like, I think for the Wellington NZ one, it has between 6,000 and 8,000 or something. Putting a cost breakdown there really helps them understand the scale of what that particular value looks like. It also sets them up for understanding what their project could look like and who it is as well. Another example to put any big dog clients you like. The kind words, absolutely put in any testimonials that you have is a really great way to go. If you don't have any testimonials, please reach out to some of your past clients. Even if you're starting out, reach out to that family friend. No one else knows they're a family friend. So that artwork you did for them, the words that they say will really matter on anything you put it on. I often put a pricing breakdown, which sounds really scary in these pitches. But again, what it's doing is it's saving you time. So if I put this pricing breakdown in there and someone can't afford the service, they won't reply. And that's fine. But if I don't put this pricing breakdown in there and they can't afford me, we do back and forth for a number of hours. And then we figure out that actually they can't afford me. And so it might be the opposite way. It might actually help them understand, oh, I've got a $20,000 budget and they know exactly the type of sized mural they can get for that kind of money. So we always caveat that by putting at the bottom, custom quotes will always be made. But it gives them a really good rough idea and people like to know what they're getting in for. At the end, I put a little bit about me and obviously making sure your contact information is really clear. Ending on a hero image can be really great. I've just got one from my branding shoot, but if you've got a project, that can be another great way to finish. Amazing. So when I say that pitching those kind of things and using those kind of displays and the word's gone from me, presentations, when I've used those presentations, it has allowed me to quit my job. So essentially, over the years, my income has increased based on the amount of business processes and the amount of pitching that I've applied to my weekly practice. So it's kind of quite astonishing how life-changing it's been for me. So I really want you to make a plan to implement and tweak your business based on this 5-step method. The plan will allow you to take some control back. And like I've kind of said, you just never know the timing of when your email might land on someone's desk. So here's a really quick recap of the Pitch Like a Creative 5-step method and how you can implement it. You want to make consistent connections so you gain direct contacts. You want to focus your marketing so you're being seen by the right people. You want to ask yourself if your branding reflects how you want to be portrayed by clients. ask yourself, are you priced correctly for the types of clients you're hoping to secure? And I really want you to make a list of the clients that are the right fit for you. So it gives you an easy checklist and helps you focus when it comes to pitching time. So we're going to pitch direct, we're going to flirt to convert, we're going to do DMs, and we're going to make sure that we're really direct and clear on our offers. So I wanted to be really honest at the end about pitching as well. I think the reason so many people don't do it, and even why it took me so long to start, is that it's not just the time element sitting down and doing it, but it was also the huge fear of rejection. When we don't put ourselves out there, we don't get rejected, but it also doesn't put us in positions to get a lot of yeses either. So I've told this story before, but not too long ago, I was hoping to find agency work, which is like a big international agency, to help me get illustration work. And I wanted to work with bigger brands. So to do it, I had to kind of work up a similar style pitch and work up a detailed portfolio of all my work alongside that pitch deck. It took me a really, really long time and a lot of work. I was really proud of it. I sent it to 20 different agencies and I got one response from 20. But that one was actually a yes. So essentially, that story is to say that there is going to be a whole lot of no's. So you do have to prepare yourself for that, but try and treat it a little bit like the dating scene. Sometimes you have to play that numbers game where you say yes to any and all of the dates with little or no expectation in the hope that one of those dates surprises you and ends up sticking. So I'm holding out for us all to have long-term relationship clients. And we just need to be persistent. We need to set aside the time each week, make it a task for us that becomes a must. And I can tell you now, it's going to surprise you what your business could look like in 6 months. So with all that in mind, I hope you're all feeling all right. If you want to pop an emoji in the chat, that would make me feel really, really good. Like I'm not sitting here alone. I hope you've been enjoying what I've been sharing. Everything's a combination, obviously, of what I've learned and of how to grow in your creative business, but also really want you to feel that you can be unique, wild, free as an artist and make all the mundane things really beautiful. So I hope it's been really easy to digest and makes it feel really possible and doable. I know we're all really busy and have so much that we're juggling. And what I'm going to say next is meant with love and not to make you feel bad, but sometimes you do need someone to give you a hard word. So today that's me. It's on the screen. Stop sitting, take some action. Love the emojis. Thanks, guys. That's awesome. Take some action, invest in yourself because it's cheesy, but you honestly won't regret it. Some of you may know in the last year I did launch a course that goes so much deeper into each of the things I've touched on tonight. And this course is for you if you have known for a little while that you need to do something to move the needle in your creative business. You might be ready to grow and you've already built that business. You're just kind of sick of playing the guessing game and stumbling through it all yourself. So some of my past students have sat in these following camps and we saw some really, really cool transformations in their businesses. Before they did Passion to Profession, they were really frustrated with not seeing real progress or acceleration in their profits. One had been an artist for 6 years and things had dried up, didn't know how to pivot or start making money again. One had been an artist for a year and never sold work before. Another had been an artist for 2 years on side hustling and wanted to take it seriously to eventually quit their job. And one didn't even desire to quit their job, but wanted to make some more money and profits for her family. And I wanted to share that because I know creative business can be really, really lonely. It's a space that probably most of us have been in on this call, and some might all still be sitting there and feeling that frustration as well and questioning what's the right path and how to filter the advice that's kind of coming in out there as well. So before I show you briefly what's in this incredible course, and thank you guys for being here tonight, which has just been so amazing to have you. I just love having creatives in the room, all sharing knowledge. It's so great. So before I share what's on the course that I have poured my blood, sweat, and tears into, I wanted to share why it's a little bit different than so many that you'll see out there, and why I know that I think you'll actually love it, and I think your business will thank you for jumping on board. So most other courses are either focused on the artist or the e-commerce side, and I've brought together everything I've learned in the corporate world, from how to present your work, how it should actually look, to pitching so that you're getting noticed, pricing and communicating right with really, really big brands that you want to work with. And I've translated it into strategies that have worked for me as an artist and creative, and that are really easy to learn, that have worked for a lot of my past students as well. I too have lived in the messiness and the chaotic side hustling, juggling all the day jobs, family, and having a social life as well. I've undercharged for a long time, and I second guess myself the whole way as well. This course, I believe, gives you shortcuts that I wish that I had all along. So essentially, so you don't waste time and waste years figuring it out the hard way like I did. So I've tested these strategies in pretty much every art lane you can imagine. We're talking murals, licensing, wholesale, commissions, live illustration, exhibitions, big brand work, and even getting featured on podcasts and media outlets as well. So essentially, I feel like I know what works because I've done it and I've tried it, not just read about it. My teaching style is quite hands-on, as you probably know. I believe in being tough but kind, and direct. I won't let you waste time on things that don't move the needle or don't make you money. So every step is going to be about building a business that makes you that cash and makes you a business that's going to last a really long time. So I've made this course especially for creatives. And if you identify with any of these things on the slide, I hear you, I have been you, and I know this course is made for people like you. So if you're overwhelmed in the business side of art, that's contracts, marketing, launches, and you wish someone would just guide you clearly, you might want to go full time. You might have been dreaming about quitting your 9 to 5 job, but practically don't know actually where to start or how to make a plan for that. You probably tried all the free resources and other courses out there, but nothing's actually worked for you in your specific art, career, or business. You're tired of guessing your way through pitching, pricing, and finding clients. Either you're underselling yourself or you're potentially second guessing every single quote that you send out as well. You probably work weekends and nights and you don't want to anymore, and you want to ultimately get that time back for you and your family and the activities you love. And this is for you as well if you want that one-on-one personal mentorship advice. I am with you for joined at the hip for a whole 6 weeks. So Passion to Profession is a one-on-one online mentorship program for creatives, by a creative who's been where you are. So it's for people who just are really ready to get serious about their business. I'm going to I'll get Bianca to pop the link in the chat to the course if you want to look at a bit more information about it. It's a 6-week online high-touch mentorship course where I walk alongside you and get to know what makes your business unique. I teach you everything I've learned over the last 10 years of business to get you moving confidently to a point where you're able to take it full-time if that's what you desire. So together we unpack tools to transform your brand. We work out exact numbers to price up any job. I give you all of my pitching templates, all of my contracts, all of the strategies that I use to get my dream clients. And we look at how to make your business stand out and sell consistently in a sea of many, many other artists. So here's what you'll get if you do enroll in the 4th term, which starts in a week and a half's time on the 11th of May. We start the term off with an hour one-on-one session with just me and you, where we chat through everything that's going on for you and your business. We look at our goals, how we're going to focus the year and make real shifts in the business plans that will actually get you closer to quitting that day job of yours. And we're going to look at exactly how to earn you more profits in the ways that are in line with your business values and the style that you have as well. So I'm giving you on the spot advice in our one-on-one sessions, but we also look at actionable items that you can implement throughout that 6 weeks as well and beyond. A new module is released weekly with a live video call where we all hop on the call together over Zoom and we pick through all the juicy questions that have come up that week about that module. And this term, I've also designed half-hour mini workshops for the start of each live call so that we feel like we walk away with really practical plans and live lessons every week on things that are really changing and prevalent, like email marketing, social media strategies, website audits, and even AI type challenges to really improve how our business is running. There's a whopping 55 video lessons through the whole course, but they're small, so they range from 3 minutes to 15 minutes long, and it just makes them really bite-sized chunks. I hand you all of my templates, all of my contracts, and the biggest thing that I love about the course is actually the pricing Bible that will paint a full picture of how you should price up any job that you come across, no matter how complicated. And if it's not in the pricing Bible, I sit down and help you work out exactly what that price is, because I've more often than not tried to quote that up in the past. So it's one of the greatest things about the course because I find hardly anyone wants to actually talk about hard numbers. And as a bonus as well, you get that 24-hour hotline to me too. So for the last few terms, my students most days would send me voice messages and emails with templates to review and many questions of how do I price this and what do I do next. So you have that full access to me for that 6 weeks. And I also limit Passion to Profession to only 10 spaces only. I keep the group really small just so that we can get down to the nitty gritty, down to the bones of what makes your business tick. And I really want to make sure that each and every one of you have the time that is required. So it's important to me that you get the personal business support you need. That's why I focus on such small intakes. Each module is released each week, so it makes it a way more palatable, feels more doable each week because we only have one module to go through each time. So pitching is only a small part of this first module called Dream Client Hustle. There's so much more to learn about chasing those dream clients. As I said, altogether, there's 55 video lessons that coach you through all the elements of what's going to eventually help you quit that job. So Dream Client Hustle, we unlock all the secrets to pitching, cold calling, selling on social media. And by the end of the week, you have a really practical plan to get the clients that you want. And I personally hand you all of the customizable templates that I use in my business. Week 2 is called Marketing Mojo, where we accelerate your marketing game across all the various social platforms. We don't want it to be a chore, so we make it as easy as possible and gain practical steps to increase your brand visibility without spending all of your money on ads. Again, you get to steal all of my pitching templates, my quoting templates, invoicing templates, everything that I use in my business you can steal to give you the best shot in landing those dream clients as well. And we just brainstorm creative ways to get noticed and to get more yeses from those big brands. Week 3 is Sell Your Story. So here's how we learn how to harness the storytelling to present your business and product successfully. And we work through your elevator pitch, your packaging, branding, and we make sure that we craft a really consistent and unforgettable experience of your business that connects with your clients and audience. It ultimately means that you can charge more and be seen as a higher value as well. Week 4 is Cash and Contracts. Again, you get to steal every single template that I have for my contracts. They're all checked by a lawyer, so they're all fully legit. And week 5 is our Price Like a Boss module. It's a huge week and one that my students last year found the most valuable. You get to learn how to master the art of pricing every single piece you have with confidence, and you also gain all the insights into setting initial prices with all of my templates and examples as well. We look at how to incrementally raise your prices in a good way through that time as well. Such a juicy week, and I know that it's one of the biggest pain points for people. So you walk away with real hard figures of how you should price up any job and how you can scale those prices as well. And the final week, final module there is where I uncover when to focus on your growth in your business, when to stay really grounded. We look at launches and how to create hype around your launches. So for me, commissions are my bread and butter, and I love to help people really nail that process of how to launch commissions and make that something that is really exclusive and lots of people want to draw to. I teach you how to apply it in many ways in your business, and then we also workshop how to practically work towards quitting your day job if that's what you want as well. So there's going to be a big element of live element to the course, which essentially means you get that direct business coaching with me, 24/7 hotline to me, and you get to ask questions anytime, work through projects, things you're struggling with. The course starts with that one-on-one Zoom call. And basically, we sort everything out in your business. I give you action plans and a business plan that you can take beyond that 6 weeks as well, organizing all of your goals. Then each week, as each module's released, we sit down on that live Zoom call. It's completely online, the whole course. Each module is completed in your own time, and you have a whole year's access to it as well afterwards. So I didn't want this course to be a time burden, especially because we all are mostly working full-time jobs as well. So that's why there's approximately 10 to 12 short videos in each module with all those templates as well. So just as I finish up, I wanted to share some of the amazing outcomes for my students last year. I had to share them because they really put in the work and saw their businesses grow. Within the group, we had people sell out their commissions. They booked them out for 6 months, awards won, six-figure jobs were quoted with real confidence, and new products launched. The fog was completely lifted for a lot of people, and their businesses felt a whole new sense of focus where they felt directionless before. So I'm not the type of person that's going to sit here and promise you're going to earn $1 million if you do my course. It's not how I roll. But I can guarantee you that if you implement everything provided to you in this course, it's going to set you up for a strong business foundation with a focus on how you're going to aim for the future. And you'll see success, and you're potentially going to have a long-term career as an artist or creative. Because everything I teach, I've done myself. So hopefully that means it's tried and tested. I will also say you don't have to be an artist. I have helped mentor illustrators, graphic designers, photographers in the past as well. So all the methods are applicable across the board. So the price for the mentorship is usually $17.99, but I just am so thankful you guys came tonight and wanted to hear what I had to say. So I wanted to give you a discount, a whole 20% off. This is an early bird offer that will be available for the next 3 days. So make sure you just get thinking of if you want ready to invest in yourself and your business. And I'll also pop that in the chat if you are interested to pop on through. And oh, it's already in there. That's great. I know it sounds super coursey, but I have no other real way of saying it other than this. But I recently signed up for business mentoring myself. And I can't tell you enough how much it's changed my business, having a coach in my life who's been there before. It's been invaluable in taking a lot of the guessing out of it and a lot of the time wasting out of it. So my hope is that I can be this for you, and over the next 6 weeks, we can nail how to grow your business. That is the end of my time. Thanks for everyone. Lots of people had to run. Completely understand. I ran over time, so that is my fault. So it's a Q&A time now. Feel free to pop your question in the chat if you have anything. If you need to go, no worries. I'll just play this little video while you guys type any questions that you might have. Hopefully it inspires you as well for some questions. Oh my goodness, I can't even get it going.
I'm Rania from I'm Taylor, a pointillism artist in Christchurch, New Zealand. I am Terry Linda, and I am a watercolour and ink artist based in the South Island of New Zealand.
I am Sean McCarroll, the artist behind Shawnee Max Art.
I was a part of Ellie's Term 2 Passion to Profession, and I went into it feeling a little bit lost, directionless, lacking consistency, and also a little bit lonely in business.
I think the course is designed so well. It's designed for people like myself who are only just starting out on this journey. I think for people that are working as full-time artists who may be struggling, looking to grow their business, then the course is absolutely a must-do, in my opinion.
I think one of the most important things to share for me was actually my access to Ellie throughout the program and her incredible encouragement and support and hands-on nature. That for me was just transformational with this particular course. So if you're thinking about it, do it. You won't regret it.
It was the best thing I did for my business. I have done a lot of courses in the past that are e-commerce related or marketing related, but I think just having someone as an artist themselves getting the same sort of feelings, but also teaching you the business aspects and just the marketing, like it was all included, and it was such a cool course, and I want to do it again.
I think some of the things that I've taken away from Ellie's course is I've finally learned how to talk about my work in a way that really resonates with me. Another huge win as well was I launched my commissions for the first time, and I sold out on my commission launch day. So that was huge. If you are an artist and you're feeling stuck or you're feeling invisible, then I honestly think that you should give Passion to Profession a go. It's been life-changing. The support throughout the course was next level. The weekly calls, the templates, the resources. Ellie is always available via messaging, which is super helpful. Since completing the course, I've actually gone on to do my biggest mural yet. So if you are an artist wanting to take things seriously, take things to the next level, this course has been such a great step forward, and I could not recommend it enough.
After completing the course, I feel like I am walking away with so much knowledge, confidence, and inspiration to achieve my dream of becoming a full-time artist. I owe all of that to Ellie and the Passion to Profession course. For anybody considering taking on this course, I highly recommend you take that plunge and just go for it. Invest in yourself. It's totally worth it.
Awesome. I'll stop sharing my screen now. Thanks for being around, guys. If you did, there's no questions in the chat, but if you did have any, feel free to stick around. Otherwise, it's been wonderful having you, and I will see you next time. I'll stick around in case anyone does kind of. Cool. I don't see anything popping up, so I will say good night for now. Thanks, everyone. Oh, hang on. I don't mind. Wait. Started posting art, but it evolved into comedy animation and have exploded over the last few months. I'm wondering if this kind of model works on a digital product. Dean, if you want to chat, you can jump on. That's so many nuggets in there.
Oh,
Hey Dean, how you doing? Do you want to explain
hello.
just a little bit more what you mean by digital product?
Yeah, of course. I first of all, thank you.
You're
This was
so
awesome.
welcome.
So yeah, I made these little animations, and a lot of people have been saying that they love them. And one of
Mm.
them was a joke about dominoes, to a point where everyone started tagging dominoes in it, and I started freaking out because I thought like, oh, is this one of those moments? But then I had this thought of, it almost seems like there are some brands that look at partnering with maybe slightly more chaotic styles of marketing to kind of
hmm
suit the changing landscape in terms of what content people are consuming.
Yeah.
I wonder if you have any advice on pitching to an agency or to a company when your
Mm.
personal brand might look a bit hectic because of the style of animation that's on there.
Yeah. So when you say personal brand, do you mean um like your website looks chaotic, or you meaning kind of the like just the art itself is a kind of a little bit your
Um,
Instagram's all over the show?
it's just what would I say? Um, what's an example? I guess one of the things I've made recently is a snail crawling, but it's like a human crawling, and he has a three-bedroom, two-bathroom house on his back.
Love
And
it.
it's about someone pouring salt on him, and he runs and hides inside his house. So it's like stuff that just looks
Yeah.
quite like, oh my goodness, like what am I watching? And then
Yeah.
there's
And
like a
it's all animation moving, or is it static image?
yeah, animation moving,
So
intentionally
good.
drawn with like a really crude art style as if it was done in paint,
Yeah.
because that kind of hits a nostalgic point in people's minds of like old internet kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So
mm,
yeah, awesome. So my 2 cents would be to almost pair the style with something that's a bit cleaner. So don't stray from what you're doing because I think that's amazing and awesome. But the way
mm,
that you can kind of anchor it is by having the way you communicate and your process of pitching be the kind of foundation or like steady line. So when I say that,
right.
I mean like that mural pitch deck that I had. If you
Mm,
had something that was kind of quite slick looking,
mm, mm,
um, still can involve your imagery and things, absolutely,
mm,
but potentially having mock-ups of how it would be used and things like that.
right.
Um, when we have a professional kind of slick way to pitch, like that mural pitch deck, it almost psychologically makes people think, oh, yeah, this is so legit, right? So it almost, in a
Yeah.
way, I'm not trying to say this to undermine what you do,
No,
but
of
it
course.
doesn't matter what our style is or what we're presenting. But if we
Mm,
have that foundation, it can really, it almost convinces them. So I think it sounds awesome what you're doing. I would just have some kind of professional looking deck of some sort,
yeah.
a
Yeah.
landing page that's like, this is the process of
Mm,
what it would be like if you worked with me.
hmm.
It doesn't have to be like crazy in detail. Literally, my
Yeah.
process
Yeah.
thing is you can even pop on my website. I think I probably have an explanation of what that process looks like. It's like, we chat about we have a collaboration meeting, and then I
Yeah.
send you a 50% deposit, and then
Yeah.
a concept, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And I also would encourage you to potentially agency work could be a really good option for you because
Mm,
um yeah, again, it's a hard one because you have to work up quite a portfolio for it. But
yeah.
um, the kind of work you're describing is exactly what they often look for is kind of new ways to market.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like the thing that I've consistently been told is that like no one's ever seen the kind of stuff that I'm doing. Like
Yeah, awesome.
which is really, really heartening. And the channel's like exploded over the past few months. And I can
Mm,
see this what would you say, this tension between like having attention, but then how do you convert that into something
yeah.
where it can become sustainable and you're not um disrespecting the people that follow you, if you know what I mean, or exploiting an element of that. And I
Uh,
feel like
yeah.
such a good move, or one that like really is kind of pulling me, I feel, is partnering with sort of brands or companies that I like who
Mm,
have already sort of commented on stuff.
mm,
It's just how to communicate that although I look chaotic and like borderline insane, I'm
yeah.
actually quite rational and grounded and I'm a good guy to work with. It's that kind of like that tension
I
is
love
so
it.
I'm also trying to turn on my camera, but I'm getting messages saying we can't. So
Oh, sorry.
hold
I don't
on.
know why that's.
I'll try 1 second. I might just
Uh, oh,
how's that?
nah, I've got a big red line through it. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that.
No, 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 it's all good. I think it's me.
Um,
Oh yeah.
there you are. Hi, Dean.
Right.
Um, what I would do is I would honestly like create a basic web page. I don't know if you have a
Hmm.
website, but like have a web page that's directed at the type of things that you're pitching at.
Yeah.
Having a document sounds like a really long process, but even if you had 3 pages that were really clear
Mm.
and direct, kind of like what I've presented tonight, and that I think will do what you're wanting it to do of saying, hey, here's the style, but here's the
Mm.
professional way we're going to work together.
Mm.
Definitely message the people that have already followed you and engaged with you. That sounds
Yeah.
awesome. And
Yeah. Yeah.
probably if they've engaged through socials, I'd engage back on socials and then get to the email stage later.
Cool. Cool. Cool.
And the other one is potentially AI has its downfalls, but you could even kind of do a little bit of brainstorm and try and figure out some really interesting brands and companies that have had quirkier natures
Mm.
to them, or even a lot of startups often have are more likely to engage edgier
Yeah.
marketing. So
Yeah. 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 I
yeah,
just feel like there's this real sense like I feel like a lot of brands go the traditional route of being like safe and it's like boom 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 like sexy people drinking Coca-Cola or like whatever, you know.
yeah.
Whereas what I'm seeing is with the way that social media is kind of blending this line between professionalism and sort of goofiness, for lack of a better term, and
Mm,
relatability, I
mm,
feel like there's such an opportunity for brands to kind of lean into that, you know.
100%.
um
And
yeah.
I'd almost say as well, like I'm not crazy big on TikTok. It's not something
Yeah.
I love. I don't know where you sit with that, but this again, this kind of stuff, man, TikTok goes off for the kind of different
Yeah.
different stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
it could be a good way. The other interesting potential would be, so I don't know if you want to look up a website called Vamp,
Bam.
VAMP.
Cool.
They engage creators for campaigns. So anyone from
Mm.
influencers to artists, they'll be like, here's a like I did one for T2. They would put up a little
Mm.
thing that was like
Oh, cool.
T2 are
Yeah.
wanting
Mm.
creators to make a video on their new product.
Mm.
So you then pitch your idea of how you would do that, right? Not everything is tailored for artists. A lot is quite
Mm.
hard. It's very influency. But
Yeah.
again, I don't fully know the extent of what you do. So
Mm. Mm.
that could be a really interesting way to look at not the influencer landscape, but the creator landscape and
Yeah.
connect in
Yeah.
with that could be really interesting.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. No, you're welcome. Can
Groovy.
you put your handle in the chat? I'd love to give you
Yeah,
if I
sure.
don't already.
Um,
Awesome. Thanks, Dean. Appreciate
no
your
worries.
question. Um,
Yeah. No, it's very like you know, when you're working at a company or something, there's a very clear line of where you're going and what you're doing. And I feel like as soon as you jump into something like this, it's kind
yeah.
of like, oh, where do you go?
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
hard to know the right direction as well, right? And I think
Mm.
there's a definitely a through line of you sitting down and going, who do I actually want to work with? Because there'll probably be people in that have liked your stuff that you're like,
Mm.
that's super exciting that they love it, but probably not someone that
Yeah.
you're wanting to work with.
Yeah, yeah. Another avenue I see, because it started off as quite like psychedelic line work drawing. And I see
Cool.
a cool crossover between like almost what would you say, visual displays for music sets and
Yeah.
things, I think is a cool avenue to go down as
Yes.
well.
Yes. 100%.
But it's just making that contact
Yeah.
is screaming into a hole sometimes. Yeah, you know.
Completely agree. And it's and I know it sucks to say when the long game is the thing, but
Mm,
it connections. Are you in New Zealand as well?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Auckland
look,
sadly.
I mean, look, everyone's someone's cousin, so I feel
Yeah.
like it's partly
Mm,
doing those kind of things, and like with that psychedelic live stuff, this work you've got on your Instagram would be amazing. You painting live at Bay Dreams or something.
mm, mm,
Um, so it's simply there will probably, if you're just starting out, there's
mm.
definitely an element of I'm going to say doing free work, and I talk about it a
Yeah.
little bit. I don't believe in exposure and stuff, but I do think at the start there's a good payoff of this is marketing for me. It's working for
Yeah.
me. It's creating connections and obviously also fun projects and things
Mm.
like that. So there potentially is an element there where you could start doing some random murals in your home or for other
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
promote
groovy.
that. So exciting, man.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
No, cheers. Thank you. You've already helped heaps. You've helped
Cool.
heaps.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll let you guys go off in your evening.
Groovy. Thank
Catch
you.
you later.
Right. See ya.
See ya.